The Houston Texans will look to get their revenge against the Tennessee Titans in Week 18. It's Crossover Thursday here, the Locked On Podcast Network.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Football fans, welcome into another Crossover Thursday episode here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's Locked On Titans, Locked On Texans. I am Tyler Rowland, host of Locked On Titans, here with Big Sarge, one of the new hosts of Locked On Texans. Really excited for our first crossover episode here, and revenge is on the mind as the Houston Texans look to get some get back on the Tennessee Titans. We're going to talk the big storylines for each team as both these teams are going to different places after this game, one to Cabo and one to the playoffs. Before we dive in, though, I do want to let you know that today's Crossover Thursday is presented by PrizePicks. Download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. And of course, thank you for being an everydayer here with us at Locked On Titans and Locked On Texans. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed for year-round free content on your favorite football team. But the Titans are the home team in this one, Big Sarge. So I will put you in the hot seat first.
Let's get
it. Titans obviously won this first matchup. It was the Titans' best win of the season. And the Texans have been maybe struggling here, especially this last game. Where are the Texans at right now, in your opinion, as a team? And where do they need to go in this final week to make you more confident in them as we go to the playoffs?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And hey, look,
Sure.
I don't look. The one thing I can't guarantee though, Tyler, is that I don't think that Hannah McNair will be going into the locker room giving any prep speeches to win this game.
Yeah, yeah, maybe not on that.
Yeah, but let me say this though, with the state of the Houston Texans right now, what they're trying to do is, in all honesty, they're just trying to make it through this last game healthy, heading into that single game elimination, which is the NFL playoffs in that second season, and they will be hosting a wild card game here in Houston next week. They're just trying to make it through healthy. No one looked and could imagine the horrific injury that Tank Dell was going to sustain, but even they lost Tank Dell, and he was the storyline of that game against the Kansas City Chiefs. But they also lost starter Shaq Mason, which we don't know if he's going to return just yet. He wasn't at practice on Monday. We don't know. We know the status of Jimmy Ward. He's out for the season, who was replacing Jalen Petrie at that nickel corner position. You know, they're already without Stephon Diggs. And so what they went through is they're just trying to finish this season. They're trying to get through week 18 healthy, because they know if they can remain healthy and go into the playoffs, everybody has an opportunity. Everybody has a chance. And no matter how bad the Houston Texans have played, they still have an opportunity to win in the playoffs. We've seen on numerous occasions where wild card teams have come into the playoffs, have barely made it into the playoffs, and then went on Super Bowl runs. Now, I don't know if that's what the Houston Texans are going to do. The city of Houston would be happy about that. But as of right now, all they're trying to do is just make it through this game healthy. On Monday, head coach D'Amico Ryan said that there will be some starters that will play, but I don't imagine that he would have them on the field for that long. I mean, you look at players like Azeez Al-Shaair, who was suspended for 3 games on the for the hit on the quarterback, on Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence. He's coming back. You got to put him back into some type of game shape after missing 3 games. You also, you also have Christian Harris on the field. Those two haven't played together yet. And so that's what you're looking for as well. What is the continuity and the communication and the feel for Christian Harris and Azeez Al-Shaair going to be? You also have a couple of milestones that some of these starters are trying to reach. I think that Nico Collins is 37 yards away from getting 1,000 yards. I think Joe Mixon is 7 yards away from 1,000 yards in rushing. And I think that Danielle Hunter is a half a sack away from having 100 career sacks. And so some of these players will go in there just to play. Now, let me say this, Tyler. There is an underlying motivation in this game. And we started off talking about it because, Tyler, let me tell you this, and you know this better than anybody because you cover the Tennessee Titans. It's so look, this game, both teams could be 1-14,
Right.
1-15. This game is what means the most to the Houston Texans
Yes.
fans because of those colors, because of the
Yep.
history, because you have a lot of Houston Oilers fans who are Houston Texans fans now who still is bitter at the Adams family for moving, and
Yep.
every time they see that Oiler blue, they get upset. And I mean, you see, I have this on for those of you
Right.
who are watching us
And
on
they'll be wearing it this
YouTube
weekend.
again, just like they did last year. So
Yes.
that's a underline. And you know what's so crazy? A lot of these young players, they know that because they hear that from the
Yes.
fans as well.
Yeah. Well, that's my question to you here is, I know that you said that they need to get into the playoffs healthy, and obviously I agree with that. But with the way that they played against Baltimore, with some of the pieces being different, with Alshire coming back, not having Tank Dell now, do you want them to sit the players, or with the revenge and the opponent and the new players coming back, or just, shuffling around and the way they looked last time, would you prefer that they go out there and put the smackdown on the Titans and build some momentum towards the playoffs?
So here's the thing. I listen, I was there at the Beyonce Bowl. By the way, amazing performance from Beyonce. She was
Yeah, she
amazing.
killed it.
And but the Houston Texans didn't do so well. As we know, they lost 31-2 to the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think that in week 18 you need to come back and show what type of team that you are in the last game, especially since you have sustained so many injuries. You don't need to prove or to show anything to anybody except when it's time to go into the playoffs. Now, if this team, the offensive rhythm that they have been out of in a long time, they're not going to get it in week 18. They're just not going to get it in week 18. So I say that you go in and you err on the side of caution. Yes, you put them out there for a series or two. You treat it like a preseason game, and then you get them up and you get them out of there. And if we're being honest, I think that the Houston Texans backups have a great opportunity to show that they deserve some playing time next year. But I also think that they could beat the Tennessee Titans starters. And that's just me. I think that they have enough backups. I've watched these backups play.
Yeah.
And I know it's crazy, but I mean, I seen Davis Mills come into, is it Nissan Stadium?
Yes.
And have some success. And I would rather see Davis Mills take a plethora of snaps than to see CJ in two series, and then he gets hurt on the second series.
In the last two seasons, the Titans have lost to Davis Mills and lost to Case Keenum. They are 100% capable of losing to the Houston Texans backups. And I'll tell you, Sarge, that is what I hope happens in this game. We're going to talk Tennessee Titans storylines right now. Before we do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Look, I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, comedy. One of my favorite memories was attending the Drake concert last year. The energy, the excitement, it was completely unforgettable. And now Gametime has made it even easier to get tickets to your favorite events with their new feature, Gametime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I was looking for tickets to an upcoming event using the Gametime app, and with Gametime Picks, I found amazing deals and could even have a view from my seat before buying. The super deal was particularly impressive, offering great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, Sarge, we'll continue today's crossover Thursday edition of Locked On Titans, Locked On Texans. We talked about the Houston Texans. We talked about their momentum, staying healthy, the weighing those two options. But now we talk about the Tennessee Titans. And I'm sure that you have some lovely questions about the Titans and their direction as a football team right now.
Well, actually, I do. But before I do that, just one quick question, Tyler. You've ever had coffee with mayonnaise in it?
You know what? No, I have not, but not because I refuse. I don't like coffee anyway. And my everydayers and the people who have been listening to my show for quite some time, they know I don't need any coffee. That's probably a bad idea for my energy level, is to introduce coffee into the mix. I was born with caffeine in my blood. I don't need any more. But yeah, luckily that the coffee and the mayo era seems to be over for the Tennessee Titans.
And that's exactly what I was about to ask you, Tyler. What are you all looking to? What is the Tennessee Titans looking for by playing maybe two quarterbacks against the Houston Texans? Is that looking for a quarterback of the future, or are they trying to assess maybe what they may have to do in the draft?
I think they're trying to lose, Sarge. That's what I think it is. Why in the world would you rotate quarterbacks in a game? I think what they need to do is they need to go with the cold hand. Everybody talks about riding the hot hand. The Titans need to go with the cold hand. Mason Rudolph goes out there and scores a touchdown. Will Levis, you're in. Will Levis throws an interception. Levis, you're out for another drive. Mason Rudolph throws a pick after Levis throws a touchdown pass. Switch them back. Like, I think that the Titans, what they're doing is, by announcing that they may play two quarterbacks, also some conversation in that press conference that came from. Brian Callahan said he did want to get a look at some of the younger players. When you're saying that you want to get a look at younger players, when you're saying you might rotate the quarterbacks, you need to get a look at guys to know going forward. Everything you're saying is, hey, we're looking towards the future. And if you're looking at the future, you're not looking at right now. So I think the Titans are just setting themselves up so that when they clearly tank in the middle of the game, it can't be, oh, they tanked. No, we already explained why we're doing what we're doing. But the reality is they want to lose this game. And that's why, I'm sorry, Sarge, but Mason Rudolph has played half the season. Will Levis has played half the season. Mason Rudolph is in year 7. Will Levis played half a season last year. You've seen over a full season of Will Levis. You've seen 7 years of Mason Rudolph. You don't need to evaluate anything. We're not learning anything new from one game against the Houston Texans backups, maybe. Like, it's just nonsense to say that we're evaluating and getting more information. You have all the information you need. They just want to tank. They want to lose, and they're going to play whichever quarterback seems like they're going to get them there.
Tyler, I thought Will Levis was the future. I thought that by drafting him, that this was the future. And another thing that I want to ask, listen, it's been this is a shortfall from grace. I remember a couple of years ago, we're talking about how great the Tennessee Titans are playing, what their Super Bowl chances are. You know, when you had a good quarterback, when you had a good running back, you had a good wide receiver, you're looking at the Tennessee Titans dominating the AFC South for at least a couple of more years. And then all of a sudden, we're here now saying that they're potentially looking to tank in the last game of the season against the Houston Texans.
Yeah, for a second year in a row, the conversation really has been about tanking at the end of the year. And I always say it's something that I heard a long time ago, but it's so true. NFL stands for not for long, because it's crazy. You're talking about the Titans in that way, but look at the Texans. Just a couple of years ago, they were David Culley, and they were cycling through head coaches and Deshaun Watson and all of that. And now all of a sudden they've won the division 2 years in a row. And even though division's terrible and they haven't played their best football, they're clearly the best team in the group. So things just change so quickly. And quite honestly, just to go through some things, the trade of A.J. Brown is really where things got off the rails. I know that right now, Derrick Henry is considered the better player, historically speaking. Like, Derrick Henry is higher ranked among running backs all time than A.J. Brown is among wide receivers all time right now. But A.J. Brown was the special sauce. A.J. Brown is what showed up in 2019 and made the Tennessee Titans special on offense, not Derrick Henry. So when they traded, Derrick Henry's great in his own right, but it was A.J. Brown that had to set the whole thing off. And once they traded A.J. Brown, not only was it a talent issue, but there's a swagger issue with the Tennessee Titans. They just have no juice, no swagger, no soul whatsoever. And that's a major problem. But you talk about Will Levis. And yes, in theory, when you draft a quarterback in the first couple of rounds, they're the franchise. They should be the future. But like I know, that's not exactly how it, being a Texans fan, you go back to David Carr, like in theory, but it doesn't always work out that way. And I think the reality is that Will Levis does some really good things. Like in that Texans game, we saw Will Levis do some incredible things in that 70-yard touchdown pass, and he made big plays. But we also saw in the last Texans game why Will Levis can kill you, and it's the turnovers, and not just turnovers, terrible turnovers. It's like the difference between a live ball turnover and a dead ball turnover in basketball. I'm a big NBA fan, big basketball fan, and if you turn over the ball like a steal at midcourt, that's probably immediately going to turn into a layup. But if you throw the ball out of bounds, well, now the team has to inbounds. You could set your defense. Like there are different levels to turnovers. And it just seems like all of Will Levis's turnovers are absolute mind-numbing, back-breaking turnovers. So no matter how much good you do, it is outweighed and overshadowed by the bad that he presents as well. And the Titans have 31 turnovers this year, most in the NFL. That is the number one stat. Sarge, ball. The number one thing that will kill a football team is turnovers. It's too difficult of a game, and he is just a turnover maker. So, you see all the good. There are things to like, but when you turn over the ball like that, you just can't be the answer at quarterback.
Tyler, it could be worse. I mean, we could be talking about, we could be, representing the Indianapolis Colts right now who haven't won the AFC South in 7 years, but I'm not going to go there. I'm not trying to start any smoke, but
hey, I'm all for it, giving something to Indy. I mean, I'm all with that. You go ahead.
Hey, but Tyler, here's my thing. So is Brian Callahan coaching for his job? That's the most important question, because when you have these type of down years, when you don't have the talent that you used to have, when you lose that talent, you're coaching. To me, it seems like you're coaching for your job. So even though this may be a meaningless game and it gets you a better draft position if you lose the game, is your job secure enough for them to bring you back next year?
See, we got a report last Saturday before the game on Sunday against Jacksonville that said that Brian Callahan is expected to be back in 2025. And then, like I mentioned earlier, he came out there on Monday at the press conference and he said some wild things. We're going to rotate quarterbacks. We want to get a look at the young guys. You only say stuff like that if you have been told that you're going to keep your job. If your job is on the line, you don't go out there and say, we're prioritizing the future, because you don't know if you're going to be a part of that future.
Exactly.
So I think that Brian Callahan is coaching for his job, because anytime that you go out there, you are coaching for your employment or playing for your employment in the NFL. But do I think that if he loses this game, he's going to be fired? No, I don't. I think that Brian Callahan is going to retain his job into next year. I think generally speaking, and Texans fans know this, cycling through one-year head coaches is just a terrible way to do things. Now, the Texans came out roses in that by getting DeMeco Ryans eventually. So Titans fans are like, fire Brian Callahan. We might get our DeMeco Ryans,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. But generally speaking, I don't think cycling through coaches after 1 year is smart. And you got to look at this from a financial perspective. The owner, Amy Adams Strunk, would be paying Mike Vrabel still, Brian Callahan still, and then whoever they hire. And I'm sorry, I just don't think that's going to happen. So I don't think that Brian Callahan is in jeopardy of losing his job based on what happens in this game.
Don't you got a new stadium being built as well?
2027, a new stadium will open. Now, I will say, a lot of people look at that from the football perspective, like it's for the football team. The reality is that stadium is for Nashville, so they can have concerts and college football playoff and the Final Four and NASCAR events. Like that stadium is way bigger than the football team. I get a lot of Titans fans in my mentions and in my comments saying this team doesn't deserve a new stadium. Well, you're right, but the city does to make money from other things and concerts and stuff like that. So to me, it's like, does the football team, are they good enough to deserve a new stadium? No, but it's bigger than the professional football team when they're talking about building $1 billion stadium.
Tyler, real quickly, you talked about Brian Callahan and they gave him almost, like a pat on the back. You'll be back on a Saturday. Then Monday he came out and said something crazy. I'll never forget. David Culley, his first and final year here, came and did an exit interview with us in the media, stood there, talked about the future plans, everything, walked out. The next day, he was fired. So, yes, NFL does stand for not for long.
True. Yeah, I mean, if the Titans go out there and lose 52-0 against Houston at home in the Oilers uniforms, these owners can make rash decisions as well. So I guess nothing is off the table. But we'll actually talk about the keys to victory in this game between these teams to cap off today's Crossover Thursday. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Again, that's $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I personally love betting on which player will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score. I love the drive bets where I can bet on the Tennessee Titans to punt on this drive. It's been lucrative this year. You can also bet the money line, the spread, the over-under, player props, single game parlays, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Sarge, we're going to cap off today's Crossover Thursday edition. It's Locked On Texans, Locked On Titans. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. For your second listen, check out Locked On NFL, AFC South representation. I host the morning show of Locked On NFL. Tony Wiggins from Locked On Jaguars hosts the afternoon edition of Locked On NFL. You get your team news here with us. Now get your NFL news with Locked On NFL on the same platform you stream our shows, always free all year round. It's Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. But Sarge, I'll let you kick us off here. You're the away team. What do you think the Houston Texans need to do to win this game?
Run, Forrest, run. Well, in the Texans case, run, Damian, run. And I'm talking about running back Damian Pierce.
Pierce.
Dare Ugubawale, because they're going to get the bulk of the carries on Sunday against the Tennessee Titans. And I feel like that's the best way to keep your team healthy. That's the best way, especially when you don't have, when you're deficient at wide receiver. So I want to see them run. I also want to see Kenyon Green, who has come back from injury. I want to see him get some snaps, because who knows if the Houston Texans advance in the playoffs, they may need to call up on him. I want to see Juice Scruggs, who's coming back from an injury. I don't want to see a lot of them. We said this earlier. I don't want to see a lot of the players play, but I also want to see John Mechie get some catches. I want to see Xavier Hutchinson. I want to see what Jared Wayne can do. I would love to see if Irv Smith, who is by far one of the best blockers the Houston Texans have, I want to see him get some reps and some snaps. That's on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, the keys to victory is just stay healthy, one, but the rotation of their defensive line, the amount of defensive linemen that they have will allow them to be able to get some of these players some longer playing time. And then we talked about Azeez coming back and him and Christian Harris playing together, but you also have backups like Jake Hansen. You have Neville Hewitt. You have Deshaun Phillips. You get them into the game. You see what Jeff Okudah can do on the outside, because you may have to play Kamari Lassiter at the nickel position going into the playoffs. You get him in the game. You let D'Angelo Ross get some run. So you just see what you have. It's almost like you're and I don't want to disrespect any of the Tennessee Titans or the Tennessee Titans fans, even though, I'm from Houston and it's going to come off as hate and it's going to come off as me hating. So let me just go ahead and say it.
Seems fair.
I would treat this like a preseason game. Hey, man. Right. Listen, this is the fourth game of a preseason game. This is probably the last action that a lot of these backups are going to get. This is the last action that they're going to be able to put on tape. So when Nick and D'Amico go to do their evaluations, they can see, okay, during game time, this is what they did. And so the keys to victory is run the ball, stay healthy, and let the defense do what it do.
Yeah, I like the idea of getting some of these young players some time, because when you get into the playoffs, people do get injured. Things happen. And some of these players for the Texans who maybe haven't played a ton all year might have to step up, and getting them some actual game reps against a team who's trying to win in the Titans, or at least putting their best players out there, that would be key. And I mean, I think that as long as they are able to do those things and the Texans build some momentum going forward, they still have a chance to win in the playoffs.
Whoa, Tyler. Whoa. I cannot let this broadcast go on without saying this. And Davis Mills is going to step up and perform. Listen, the Houston Texans aren't where they are right now. They don't have a CJ Stroud. They don't have a Will Anderson Jr. They don't have a D'Amico Ryans. They don't have a Tank Dell. They don't have all of that without the play of Davis Mills. Now, I know that's a backhanded compliment, but I would like to see Davis get on the field and do some things. Air it out, Davis. Air it out. I know I said run, but I forgot that Mills is going to be back.
Well, I think if you run the ball successfully and play action off of that Davis Mills will be able to take some shots downfield, because the Titans have some backup safeties out there that honestly aren't playing great football. And the linebackers for the Titans that we expect to play aren't playing great football. They're young guys as well. So I think there's definitely an area of opportunity. For me, I can't even tell you keys to win, Sarge. I got to go with keys to defeat. The Titans need to play their young guys as well. And where you say, for the Texans, this is the last opportunity for them to get a look at these guys before they make some offseason evaluations. I feel the same for the Titans, although the stakes are different. I want to see the Titans play their young linebackers, rookies, and James Williams and Cedric Gray, even though they were terrible against the Indianapolis Colts, and that's why the Colts ran for 335 yards. Holy cow. I don't care about that. I don't care if they win or lose. I just want to see these young players so the Titans know, hey, can one of these young linebackers be a starter next year, or do we need to address that? Let's see some young players on offense. You know what I mean? Let's see at wide receiver. I want to see undrafted free agent Bryce Oliver to know if he can be a part of the team next year. Let's put Jaquan Jackson back out at punt returner to figure out, hey, now that he's back in the lineup, is he going to be able to do it, or is he still going to fumble and he's going to have problems? That's the type of stuff that I want to see from the Titans. I want to see some of their young players out on the field. That's a key to defeat. And also, I think the Titans have to continue to rotate that quarterback. Don't stop. Don't sit on the hot hand. Continue to rotate them in and out so that neither of them can get chemistry. Neither of them can gain momentum to make sure that you lose this game. Because for the Tennessee Titans, the only thing that can save this franchise right now, even if it's not wins, it's hope, and they need a new young quarterback. So whatever they have to do to lose this game, that's what they need to do. So keys to defeat for the Titans for me.
Hey, and one more thing, Tyler. I think that you're going to see a player for the Houston Texans who's going to come back to Tennessee. He's angry. He's pissed off, not only for the fact that he, doesn't play in Tennessee anymore. He plays for the Texans now, but he's also coming off a suspension. He also hasn't played in a while, and he plays aggressive, and he loves the Houston Texans fans. He loves them. Got out and did he had a fan event. There was a watch party going on, and he showed up. And I'm talking about Azeez Al-Shaair. And nothing would make him feel more prouder and get the city of Houston give him more love than to go in there to beat the Tennessee Titans with those Oilers uniforms on.
100%. That would absolutely matter. It would matter to the franchise. And maybe Danico Autry can put some work in on the interior offensive line if they let him play out there. But as an older player, he's probably first in line to sit on the defensive side of the ball. But definitely excited to see how this all plays out. And it feels strange, but I'm definitely hoping that the Texans can pull this one off. But that's going to do it for today's Crossover Thursday. I'm Tyler Rowland, host of Locked On Titans, here for the first time with Big Sarge from Locked On Texans. Excited to have you into the division. AFC South is the best division in Locked On NFL, so excited to bring you in, man. But that's going to do it for us today. I hope you guys enjoy the final weekend of the regular season in the NFL. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. But it's Crossover Thursday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.